Well, here we are on Earth-Based Records Pro-Life News. We're here to talk about 5 key Senate races for 2022 and 5 key governor's races. And what we're going to see basically, the Senate races I'm going to talk about are very close. The governor's races, not as close, but basically these can tilt either way. Definitely the Senate races, for example, are toss-ups. And these are going to be important in this pro-life movement. The first Senate race, of course, to probably consider the biggest toss-up of all, Kathy Cortez Masto versus Adam Laxalt in Nevada, the state of Nevada. Now, this is interesting because really the Hispanic community is going to be the key to this race in Nevada. However, there's no guarantee that the Democrat Kathy Cortez Masto, who is a Hispanic, that she can pull it out. We're seeing some possibility that the Hispanic vote will move Republican this year, not only here, there in Nevada, but also in Texas. Remember, George W. Bush was a father of, Republican Texans attracting Hispanic voters. Of course, Texas is at the border with Mexico. George W. Bush acquired 40% of the Hispanic vote when he won the presidency. Now, what we're seeing in Texas with the election there in the governor's race, and this is a bonus, is that the incumbent is beating Beto O'Rourke and with 38% of the Hispanic vote. So what we're going to see is that the Nevada vote could definitely go for Adam Laxalt, and it's just all going to be about conservative value Hispanics with conservative values, whether on military matters, racial matters, or basically law and order. These are gonna be, if they tilt Republican, then you'll see Adam Laxalt beating the Hispanic female Kathy Cortez Masto. And of course, the big issue in all of these is abortion. Now, Georgia, what a turnaround for Herschel Walker, just by being the clown in the room. And what a fascinating story with his abortion past. Obviously, everybody pretty much assumes that he had something to do with an abortion. And what a Christian story, really, of trying to change your life. The law has changed on abortion with the Dobbs case overturning Roe v. Wade. And here we have Herschel Walker coming in saying, well, I'm pro-life, and people attacking him for his past, when the law was different, and the law was Roe v. Wade. So for a lot of Christians who are looking for forgiveness, maybe for having had an abortion in the past, this is going to be the key, being pro-life. And Herschel Walker now 3 points in the lead in some of these polls against Raphael Warnock of the Ebenezer Baptist Church, which was the church of Martin Luther King Jr. So there's a very good chance that in Georgia, the Republican Herschel Walker, after being heckled and laughed at for about a week, the comedy show has won out, I would say, in Georgia. And his knack for celebrity, being a celebrity himself, his ability to handle the spotlight, Herschel Walker may very well pull out the Georgia race. Pennsylvania, this is another celebrity, Dr. Oz, Mehmet Oz versus John Fetterman. Fetterman, I would say sadly, in a very sad situation, just not looking all that great. We all sympathize with John Fetterman for having had a stroke recently, and his condition, his speech, his ability to, think clearly. Obviously, he's reading off a script, um, and and then saying he represents people who've been knocked down and need to come back up. Sometimes you need to get some bed rest in a hospital recovery environment. Maybe some kind of a recuperative center for John Fetterman. That Dr. Oz would definitely be empowered to really help John Fetterman with his health, but really, some of the language from John Fetterman, he has had problems with African Americans as being racially insensitive, and then saying in the debate that he is a stand-up guy for underrepresented minorities. I don't know what to say. The guy needs some time to recuperate from his medical condition. The Democrats could have put in a number of candidates. We all sympathize with him, but really sometimes, the sympathy play is not the best way to help someone. In John Fetterman's case, he needs to really seek the help and assistance of the medical community, including possibly Dr. Oz. Fetterman might just say, "Hey, doctor, I'm real sorry for going after you like that. I'm in a bind medically because of my stroke. Would you please just help me? I need help." So that's Pennsylvania, which very likely will tilt towards Dr. Oz. Wisconsin, Ron Johnson there against Mandela Barnes. What a interesting name, Mandela Barnes, of course, evocative of Nelson Mandela, but really the name value is not going to be it. Wisconsin turned out to be the first bellwether of this turning tide to a red tide, Republican tide nationwide. It started in Wisconsin with Ron Johnson being convinced to run for a third term. He was going to retire. The Republicans put in the effort to keep him in office, and that was the beginning of the red tide around the country. If you asked just 6 or 8 weeks ago, you might have thought that Mandela Barnes, the Democrat, would win, but basically, Wisconsin, you can say that Ron Johnson, the Republican, is ahead. And then Arizona, this is the latest of the red tide. Blake Masters versus Mike Kelly, and you have to thank the Trump Republican candidate Kari Lake. What we're getting here is a Blake and Lake, or Lake and Blake, or Shake and Bake Lake and Blake movement. The yard sign saying, Lake and Blake. Blake Masters, really not much of a politician from all accounts, being inundated by the astronaut Mark Kelly, who reminds us of, he's the husband of Gabby Giffords, and we're all, heartbroken about, the animosity in our politics that led to Gabby Giffords being shot. But basically, we've had the January 6th incident since then, which really supersedes the Gabby Giffords incident. January 6th was, many times more devastating than the shooting of Gabby Giffords, wife of Mark Kelly, who was the former astronaut turned politician, and the senator from Arizona, now coming under fire, really from an inexperienced, non-politician, very low budget, Blake Masters, but just on the red tide of and the help of the strong gubernatorial candidate Kari Lake, this could be definitely a shake and bake for Lake and Blake. Now on to the other governor's races. Those were the Senate races. Michigan, yes, Gretchen Whitmer versus Tudor Dixon, an attractive Republican candidate, two women running against each other, Gretchen Whitmer. Now, this is going to be a pure abortion battle. Of course, there's a ballot initiative number 3 in Michigan. What it exactly says, I don't know. Gretchen Whitmer wants to assure the people that there will be regulations on abortion after Proposition 3 or ballot initiative number 3. Tudor Dixon telling us that this is the language of this initiative calls for really unlimited abortion, and all we need is more regulations. I think abortion fell apart uh, partly on a mountain of regulations. There were so many regulations on abortion, and that eventually led to the collapse of an abortion right. But don't worry, Gretchen Whitmer will offer you unlimited abortions as well as a sea of regulations on those abortions. So that is Michigan. It could go either way. Whitmer is in the lead right now. It's just, whether the state is going to be pro-choice or pro-life. New York is another one. There in the governor's race, we're basically seeing, Kathy Hochul coming up under fire. The thing that's going to possibly, and New York is an extremely Democratic state, and I think that's the hint in Michigan as well. It's just, New York more than Michigan, but Governor Hochul probably pull it out in New York, but basically coming under fire is basically 4 points. That one's within 4 points. A red Republican wave, if it's extremely strong, could turn Michigan. It could turn New York. It's hard to believe, New York being so Democratic, but it's quite possible that New York could turn. The question for Republicans is, do they want to use all their firepower in 2022 or save some of it for 2024? Because they could certainly put more resources into states like Michigan or New York, but the presidency is up for grabs in 2024, and that might be somewhere you want to hold back some of your resources. But still, New York is in play. Texas, it was supposed to be close, but again, Beto O'Rourke, this is said to be Beto's last stand with the red Republican wave. Beto may not be able to unseat the Texas governor there. Florida, we have Ron DeSantis, the Republican, versus Charlie Crist, and they had the debate. This debate came out, in my opinion, in favor of DeSantis. He said he wants to put that old donkey to sleep, and that's talking about Charlie Crist. He also mentioned that Joe Biden, basically Charlie Crist voted 100% with Joe Biden, vote for vote. Now, this is important because, you don't want your governor or your senator to be just a surrogate for the president, even in your own party. You have issues for your own state. Crist voting 100% of the time with Joe Biden. He's starting to look old, and just as old as Biden. DeSantis looks young, fresh, energized. He did a good job on the debate. Basically, he won the debate. He had the only real tagline saying he wanted to put that old donkey to bed. And that's about it. We're looking at very likely Ron DeSantis in Florida in the governor's race. Now, these are all pro-life elections. It's an nationwide battle over abortion rights. We're seeing a red tide in the last couple of weeks here, even with mistakes like Herschel Walker in Georgia, turning into a comedy, and then a profound lesson for the nation, having had abortion rights for 50 years and coming to terms with, women and men being involved in the killing of a fetus, and wondering, whether they can seek forgiveness for that action and start a new life. And Herschel Walker would be definitely a step in that direction. And Mehmet Oz, really the doctor. Of course, you get your abortions from doctors, and Dr. Oz saying, look, I want the people of Pennsylvania to vote and decide for themselves whether they want abortion. And the vitriolic hatred of the stroke victim against the doctor who can really help him in a medical necessity. This is something we have to think about when we are in a war in a foreign environment, not just here at home over abortion, but the war in Ukraine and the battle in the Pacific with China over nuclear weapons. Whether we want to foster or support candidates who have spoken in hateful ways to groups that are not enemies of the United States, such as the celebrity Dr. Oz, and certainly the backlash against the football star Herschel Walker, who took a beating but really came out smiling. Those are maybe putting in some of my personal considerations, as a minority male myself, and lifelong pro-life, that our nation doesn't devolve into name calling against minorities. And we see in Nevada that even the woman, Hispanic female, just mainly possibly because of the abortion issue, having trouble with the Hispanic vote in Nevada, with the Hispanic community divided, and saying, look, we are conservative people. We are not criminals, and not all of us, have crossed this border illegally. We want to life ourselves. We want to follow the laws. We agree that abortion is, killing of a fetus, and we don't need that kind of lifestyle. So that's the summary. 10 races, and the bonus was it? Which was the bonus? There was a bonus in there somewhere. I don't know why it's not on the list. That's why it was the bonus. You'll have to go back to the videotape and figure it out. Earth Faith here, signing out.